Okay, so welcome to our January 15th meeting of the British Empire Study Group. Everyone's welcome. You do not have to be a stamp collector. You do not have to like postal history. You just have to like the subject or just be open to listening to the subject. Okay, so tonight we're going to see the latest trends in AI for philately. I defined artificial intelligence because a couple of my husband's colleagues asked me, well, what is AI? I said, that's artificial intelligence. I say, oh, okay. So Tom Droege knows all about that type of thing. I think he lives and breathes it. So what we're going to do tonight is going to be a little different from what you've seen our presentations go before. Normal, turn it over to Rob. He'll introduce Tom. But during the presentation, if you have a question, put it in the chat. If it's germane, if it's something that we could fit into, Tom could fit into something he's talking about, he's going to do it. We'll take it. If it's something that could wait till the end, we'll wait to the end and we'll get to you. So just a little different. And at the end, we will bring everyone over. So don't worry, you'll be able to see and talk to them directly. So right now, I am going to turn it over to my cohort, Rob Lutens, to introduce tonight's presenter.
Thank you, Joan. Well, welcome everyone to the British Empire Study Group's first program of 2026. First, I'd like to thank everyone for the kind words you've sent regarding my recent health. I had my right knee replaced early last month, and I'm happy to say I'm back home again after 6 weeks of physical rehab and able to walk now without any pain. Although I have several more months of rehab left before I'll be ready for the Olympics. Our topic this evening is the latest trends in artificial intelligence and philately and more, presented by Tom Droege. Artificial intelligence is starting to make a presence in philately. It is neither the all-seeing expert nor the menace that some collectors fear. On the plus side, AI can rapidly identify visual inconsistencies in stamps, compare cancellations, detect forgeries, and surface obscure references in just seconds, tasks that once took hours of careful study. On the minus side, it cannot judge postal rates, ink chemistry, usage logic, or historical context, the very soul of the hobby. AI lacks the collector's instinct, the joy of discovery, and the hard-earned skepticism that comes from handling thousands of real-world examples. When used wisely, however, AI is not a replacement for philatelic expertise, but can be a powerful tool that can assist the hobby in ways that were previously unimagined. A little background on our presenter for this evening. The founder of the Stamp Auction Network is Tom Droege, president of Droege Computing Services Incorporated, a software development and IT services firm founded in 1985. Tom earned a BS in engineering physics from the University of Illinois. Highlights of his enterprise and marketplace systems include auction management, inventory and purchasing systems, patient care systems, and toxicology. He's written for PC Magazine, Popular Computing, Database Advisor, and Midnight Engineering. From 1991 to 1997, Tom ran the Developers Competition, the largest software competition in the world. He was a founding board member of NC Tech and the creator of StampAuctionNetwork.com, the top stamp auction site in the world. Tom's subject matter expertise is in auction systems, with domain knowledge in the areas of wine and stamps. So without further ado, I give you our presenter for this evening, Tom Droege.
Hey, thank you, Rob, and thank you, Joan. Appreciate being here. What a crowd you've got. I wasn't expecting over 200 people. So I'm really excited to do this, and I'm not going to lie to you. I purposely did minimal prep for this talk, so this is a guided journey that we're both going to experience. I spent some time thinking about it, of course, as I'm sitting in my bed trying to go to sleep, and I have put a few notes together, but it's going to be an experience that we journey together. And I'm not sure where it's going to land us. It's going to be new for you as it is for me. So, like I said, fasten your seatbelts. So I think the best way to talk about the trends is to experience it through the lens of ChatGPT. So we can ask it anything we want. So if we want to talk about trends, we can just ask it, what are the trends? And we're going to ask some of those questions because there are some definite trends, and there's some questions that I still have that I'm going to take advantage to discover for myself. I think, this topic conversation is going to be about 50-50 using AI through ChatGPT and then talking about philatelic applications. So this is not going to be all stamps. It's going to be a lot of other stuff too. And I hope that this will be more than just, how to use AI for stamp collecting. I understand I have about an hour, so give me 15 minutes before we start going interactive. I really do want to make this interactive and take questions. But we're gonna, you're gonna put your questions in the chat, and Rob and Joan are gonna triage and get them to me. But Rob and Joan, one thing I didn't think about in our prep. Can you tell me when we get to the 15-minute and the 30-minute time point? So if I'm like not covering, if I haven't covered everything I thought I wanted to cover, I'll get an idea.
Sure, the live people will be the AI for clock time.
All right. So, yeah, we need a live clock. All right. So let's jump in. So first thing I want to just show you, I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to introduce you. We're going to go right into the ChatGPT interface, and we're going to start a conversation with ChatGPT. So you should see my screen now.
Hey, Tom,
And
before you start, do you want to get into a little bit of what AI actually is, or are you going to get into
I'm
that
going to
later?
do that. That's
Okay.
actually so that's what I did.
Second
So,
point.
what I did was I asked ChatGPT, and as you see right up here, this is the question I asked. I said, "Hey, I'm doing a presentation on AI to a group of stamp collectors. Their society focuses on British Empire stamp collecting. Give me an outline of what you think would be of interest to this group on the topic of general AI and then specifically British Empire stamp collecting." Now, what I'm going to do for you right now is um, share a link to this conversation. So let me do that. I'm gonna post a link to this chat in the chat. Let me see if I do it right. So you should have a link to a chat now. Um, and right now, if you clicked on that, you'd only see my one question. Then I'm going to go through the question. I'm going to talk about what AI thought we should talk about. We're not going to talk about all that AI says we're going to talk about. I have some other ideas of what I want to talk about. But as we talk about it with the AI, occasionally I'm going to post an update to the link because this link here only has what we've put in here so far. And if you're using ChatGPT, this is a little share button at the top right. If you click on that, you can create a link and share your conversation. So right to Jones' question. I mean, when I asked ChatGPT, what should we talk about? And well, first thing it said, well, what do we mean by AI? Right there it is. And so, and as we have this conversation, I'm going to tell you what the AI told us, and I'm also going to curate it for you because it's not all exactly correct. But so it's saying it's not consciousness or creativity, it is pattern recognition. So when we're talking about AI, ChatGPT, what we're talking about is a large language model that is able to take like gazillions of data points of language. And what it really is a way to answer a question and predictively, word by word, it goes and creates a response where it statistically says, okay, I've written 10 words so far. What would be the next word statistically? And that's the basic math of how a large language model works. Um, but it's not really intelligent. Okay. So it's going to suggest we take a non-technical tour of general idea. Okay, what AI is especially good at? Reading millions of records instantly, finding patterns. Okay, comparing across huge historical data sets. Okay, What's it bad at? It's not a real authority. It's not an absolute authority. It's not good at rare one-off items. It's not good about nuance without context. All right, let's see what it said about why AI is uniquely well suited to philately. Stamps are highly visual, well documented. There's decades of catalogs, auction realizations. Okay. Now it's saying what's relevant to the British Empire stamp collecting group. Hundreds of territories, overlapping designs, complex varieties. So I don't know if you tell by the tone of my voice, I'm not really excited with um, the chat's suggestion for our conversation. But the one thing that I thought was good was and we're going to go into more detail about this one. What is it and what is it not, right? Okay. I have some better questions that we're going to ask it that are going to get better answers. And one of the things that one of the first rules of thumb, if I were to give you principles, it's all about asking the right question and learning how to ask questions right. So,
Hey, Tom, a quick question from Giles. Do
uh-huh.
the AI tools like ChatGPT, Gemini, Google Lens, Claude, and the others, do they talk to each other?
I don't think they talk to each other. I can't say definitive. That's the question we'll ask. So, yeah. So that we can say, do the AI tools talk to each other? I mean, I think it's going to be pretty authoritative on that. And what are the major AI tools like chat? This was one of the questions I was going to ask later on anyway. So it's in line with our conversation. But one of the things I'm going to cover, which is kind of similar to that, so not by default, but they're connected. They are separate. They're in their own silos. Yeah, this looks right. They can be made to talk. Okay, so what it means for stamp collectors, no single AI knows everything. So what I will say though is that people use AI to talk to each other and they employ their AI agent to talk to each other. And I'll give you an example. One of the very beneficial uses of AI, and I use it all the time, is to produce proposals. So one of my recent projects was to develop an AI agent for our coin auction site that we're developing, and I wanted a, and I'm going to talk about the definition of what a AI agent is, but I'm talking about one single issue of this thing. When I used AI to create a proposal. It does great at that. It'll flesh it out for you, create a proposal. I used AI to create a overview of my proposal that I could post on Upwork and get proposals. And then I posted that at Upwork and started getting proposals. I then took the responses of those proposals and I put them back into ChatGPT and I asked it to, I would copy in, you can copy in boatloads of data into this query. You just copy and paste in this ask anything and it'll crunch it for you. And it started to evaluate the proposals that I got back from these consultants. And what it actually did was start to ask me if I wanted to compare them. So by the time I had two or three, it started telling me, would you like me to compare the five proposals and rank them, blah, blah, blah. And I let it do it. And it was very interesting. I ended up hiring a consultant that I wouldn't have gotten. But the reason I tell you that story is to answer the question. Right now, what is going on is people are using ChatGPT to create content that gets communicated to people. And often, if they're like a request for proposal, a software consultant is using AI to create the response to your proposal. So I get emails from me that are or responses to requests for proposals that are AI generated. So it's not that the AIs are talking to each other, but people are using AIs to talk through each other to each other, and for productivity and all that. Um, which gets to um, and I lost my train of thought because I wanted to end that conversation, um, and that'll come back to me. Um, so yes, I want to bring an end to that conversation, but I'm going to jump into where I want to go with this conversation. So I've shown you how to get the uh, the link to this conversation, and now we're going to get into it. Which there it is, sitting right in front of me. The the conclusion to the thing that I was just talking about chat, people using chat GPT to talk to each other, and chat GPT kind of is a almost a translator that people are using this way. Um, it's real important that people learn how to use AI. And one of the main benefits for learning how to use AI is it gives you the ability to recognize it. So that's one of the things I'd like you to take away. I mean, if you think this doesn't really pertain to you, um, well, for one, I think it, um, I did want to start this conversation by talking about when I was 50 years old and I had spent 25 years coaching and playing volleyball, and I found myself in a gym tearing down the net. And I thought to myself, this is the last time I'm going to tear down the net. And then I had the other really bad thought like, is the rest of my life going to be tearing, is the rest of my life going to be thinking about doing something for the last time? And so it was in that moment that I determined like I need to be doing new things. And so I set out at age 50 to learn how to be a long distance cyclist. And I spent the next 12 years doing that. But I heard a recent, just a great quote. And it kind of went along the lines of it's never too late to be what you might have been. There's a famous person that made that quote. I'm sure someone recognizes it. But so, you know, it's not too late to learn AI, learn a new thing, and it will benefit you tremendously. So my first point is you need to use AI just so you can recognize it when it comes at you. Um, and it's great at a lot of things. Like I talked about how it was great for helping me create that proposal. It is great for vacation planning. Has anyone here, can people raise their hands? And Joan, you can tell me how many people raise their hand. Has anyone used ChatGPT to plan a vacation? How many people raise their hands on that? Or let's see, let's just put some other ones. Or get business advice. Or build a computer program, maybe so many people, or something like
Yeah.
that. So I will tell you that I used ChatGPT to plan a pretty complicated vacation last fall. My wife and I wanted to go to Greece. We wanted to go do an Alaskan cruise. We wanted to go to San Cabos. And so I took her through all the things. Like I told her, hey, I want to go to these three places. Tell me what's the best time to do it. Should I do one in the fall, one in the February, blah, blah, blah. And it helped me make all those decisions about when is the best time to go. And then when I started getting down into the detail, it would get down to like, the nitty-gritty detail stuff. Like, so we ended up going to Naxos, one of the Sikh ladies, and it wouldn't have been a place I would have just found necessarily by reading, the Greek travel magazine. Um, but what was kind of amazing is it found us a really great place to stay. I mean, it was quite unusual. It was like not a bed and breakfast, but kind of this unique place settled, way back in the middle of the country, of the island. But it's really great for doing that. I use it all the time to create marketing content and I mean, you can see down on my left bar here the kinds of things that I've done. Um, I use it a lot for software. I mean, it is amazing if you need an Excel. function or if you need to write something with Excel. But one thing that was quite amazing to me, and this just happened recently, I'm in a group, there's a coalition of um, CDFIs, which are community development institutions. They're kind of small banks, small community banks, and there's probably 20 or 30 CDFIs in the state of North Carolina. They decided to do a coalition. So um, I took it on myself to like go use ChatGPT. I said, okay, here's 7 other statewide coalitions. Tell me all about them. Tell me what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are, where they fit in the ecosystem. And then tell me what North Carolina should have in terms of our strategic vision. And I created essentially 50 pages of content for a website for an organization because we're starting this organization. And I thought, I mean, I knew all that. I've been doing this for 2 years. So I thought I was going to just give this to an Upwork consultant and have them build me a website. And so that's what I did. I used ChatGPT to write the proposal, post the proposal, start getting responses. I got a response from an organization that builds websites using AI. And instead of giving me a proposal, they gave me a demo of the content that I'd given them. And you can go to, for some reason, it wasn't working today, but let me see if it is. If it is otherwise. Yep, there it is. Okay. Uh, this is not a flashy website like you would see with, all the window painting going back and forth and up and down, but this is a content heavy site. It's got purpose, vision, values. What is a CDFI? Frequently asked questions. It's got a list of the North Carolina CDFIs. It's got a list of the other coalitions around the country. And I won't belabor this point very much, but this took the developer 2 hours to produce this website for me on Upwork. And so far, it's cost me $120. So, what is happening, if you want to talk about trends, is that AI is developing these vertical applications that are AI driven. And they're called agents. So if you hear the word AI agent, and we're going to use this term because we need AI agents in philately. An AI agent is similar to the concept that developed, 40 years ago when I started my business. Used to be software was everything was general purpose software. You had spreadsheets and word processing and blah, blah, blah. But around the 80s, people started creating applications for vertical applications. So you would create an inventory software, or you would create a stamp auction company software. A stamp auction company software is a vertical software application. It's designed just for one kind of industry, and it's specific to that, designed for that, um, and that's what you're seeing. So all this money that's pouring into AI development around the world, um, probably half of it is going into like these groundbreaking AIs that are going to affect everything. But the other half of it is going into like specific AI tools that will do one specific thing. And those are called AI agents. So
So, Tom, one of the audience members said, "Okay, this is great. How about philately?
I
Let's
know.
Is it? They're
I,
like, because wouldn't it
I
be
told you
great if AI
50-50
could
is
write
gonna,
my
yeah, yeah,
article?"
yeah, yeah. You guys aren't listening. I told you 50-50 was gonna be on general stuff and 50-50 is, so where am I? I'm at my 15 minutes yet? No. Okay.
No,
So
you're at
let's,
30, half time.
yeah. Oh, I'm at 30 already. I asked you for 15. Okay. All right. Um, okay. Well, I'm going to start giving you some examples of philately and where stamp collecting meets the road. But again, you can do this yourself. I mean, you can go into ChatGPT and say, like, how do I tell a Prussian blue pair of color? Or, I'm glad to take a couple questions, Joan, if we're at that point. Give me a couple philatelic related questions. Let's see what it says.
Okay. Jack Thur, can you
Okay, let
ask
me let me
AI
let me
to
tell you
it?
what I just did. So
Okay.
then I'll take a question. Okay, I asked it what the Prussian blue era of color is, and how to tell the difference. And it looks like it pulled up. It's the deep dark blue, slightly greenish or steel blue, strongly saturated, not violet, not gray, not washed out. If it looks faded or uneven, it's probably not Prussian blue. Okay, I'm not an expert on this. I know this thing exists. How accurate is that answer? What are you telling me, Joan? You're shaking your head no.
If I use that to diagnose a stamp, it would definitely be a return because I don't think it nailed it on that one.
Okay.
And show me the
It says
examples.
rule out. Okay, well let's give it the whole thing.
Show me a side by side example of two.
Okay. Perfect. This is how it works. You talk to it. That is not as helpful as I thought. Can you show me a side by side example? That's fair. Ha, that's cool. That is that third picture over there is from a Stamp Auction Network video I made on that actually. But it's not showing. I want to show a side by side. This is how a real brush and blue era looks like a perfectly normal stamp printed in a completely impossible color. Yeah. So if you want to go one level deeper, show certified examples versus rejected ones. Yes. And then it says, walk through one specific British Empire issue and give me a 2-minute checklist you can hand out and help me explain why This is how ChatGPT works. It'll show you something, answer a question, and it'll prompt you for the next thing that it can do for you. Now, in a moment, I'm going to update the link to this. Okay. Certified Prussian blue era, why it passes. Experts are looking for printing integrity, not just color. That's an interesting claim. Is that true? Anyone that knows? And one of my points in this session is this is how you learn to use ChatGPT is you ask it stuff you know already, and then you spend time
So Dennis is asking, ask if Prussian blue was also used for coding.
coding.
Coating,
Coding.
C-O-A-T, coating.
You're saying yes, it was used for coatings and papers, and that's why it causes so much confusing in stamp collecting. Is that a correct answer?
We're experts.
Now, by the way, I'm going to update the link. So I'm going to send everyone. So for those that can weigh in on this, I'm going to copy the latest link and I'm going to post it in the chat. Hold on. Here we go. Oh yeah, and I can keep the chat open. All right, so we're going to come back to this because I want to make a couple points here. Not so much about like asking about stamps, though I will, um, but to help you to understand how to use it. So on the same line of this asking you something I know, I'm going to ask it something that I know. Okay, and I am an expert in the Mexico exporter issue, so I'm going to see what it knows about that. So where did I want to know? Um, Tell me what you know about the exporter Mexico definitive issue from 1976 to around 2005. Let's see what it says. Then I'm going to ask it a very specific question. One of the longest running, most complex definitive issues of the late 20th century. That is true. It's designed to modernize Mexican exporter, hence the name exporter. It's often compared to the Mackins at high denomination modernized printing. It was known for modernizing printing and security, reduced counterfeiting, functional typographic, minimalistic. Okay, there's nothing wrong with that. This is ChatGPT 5. I mean, um, 4.0 used to make a lot of hallucinations. You know, it's you don't see so many hallucinations anymore, like stuff that's just made up. But I'm going to ask it a harder question right now. True errors are rare, but include missing colors, shifts, printing faults. Why it's underrated, ignored by casual collectors, poorly understood by museums, underrepresented in exhibits. Okay, this is what I did. I did postal rate usage. I went deep into that and I went into destinations. So, and I discovered, a $5,000 cover in $20,000 covers. But question
So
I want to
Tom,
ask
are
you,
you using the free version of ChatGPT
I'm
or the
using the
paid version?
$20 a month. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So I'm going to ask you, what was the shortest rate period during the exporter issue? If it understands this question, I'm going to be pretty impressed. If it knows what it is. Okay, this is right. One specialist references 21 different tariff rates, and this is what they're known as. They're known as the T29 through T50. That works out to one rate change every 14 to 18 months. Yes. The shortest, okay. Yeah, it's failing me here because I know what it was. It was T32, I think. So you do need this. Without a detailed postal rate table, these things do exist. It's just not in their database. All right. All right. Let me tell you, I want to, I'm going to ask it another sort of related question to stamp collecting to see if it will show you what I think it often does. Um, so let's say the British Empire group wanted to, work on outreach and, uh, grow your society. And you said, I would like to, I'm going to say The British Empire Group wants a 4-week email campaign to increase membership. Can you come up with such a plan? Let's see what it tells us. This is what it's actually really good at, this kind of stuff. Um, but that's actually not going to be my point. My point is not going to be how well it does what we asked it to do, but it's going to suggest a 4-week campaign. It's going to suggest why the society exists. It's going to give you subject lines, a message. It's going to say what you actually get. It's going to core message, call to action. It's going to show the community. It's going to be have a clear invitation and deadline. And we could go further with this. It's saying, we could actually write up some content for us. But that's not what I want to show here. I want to show something, see what happens when I do this. Yeah, that is good, but we think we should do a 12-week campaign instead. What do you think? So really, I'm trying to, okay, this is what I was pretty much sure it would tell me. And this is a thing about ChatGPT and the large language models. They're very affirming. So look at that answer. Yes, a 12-week campaign is a better choice for would you really want to have a 12-week campaign? Do you have 12 weeks of content? I don't know. Why 12 weeks works better for this audience. The point is that, and it's going to give us a bunch of reasons why 12 weeks is better. But and it's going to give us 12 weeks. Um, but this is one of the characteristics of an AI. It's very affirming. It wants to tell you that what you just asked it was a great suggestion and keep you on the site. So I want to say like It's very affirming. I have to ask it to point out the negative. Um, really? What is wrong with a 12-week campaign and compare whether we should do a 4 or 12-week? And I'm gonna tease it a little bit here. Let's see what it says when I say that. Oh, but he's gonna try to be fair to both sides. Good. So I said, what's wrong with a 12-week campaign and compare it whether we should do a 4 or 12-week campaign. The board is suggesting a 4-week campaign. That's a good, but it's still, see how affirming it is. That is a very good governance question, is exactly the kind of thing boards should debate. Here's a clear and neutral comparison, including what's generally wrong with the 12-week campaign. So I'm not going to belabor this. You're going to have this, you can look at this and study. But the point is, um, the AI is going to be very affirming to whatever you ask it. So you got to keep that in mind. Um, Now, it's important how you ask the question. So I'm going to ask it these two different questions. What are the best auction sites? Oh, it got Stamp Auction Network. Well, I
Oh,
wasn't.
that's a little bias, isn't it?
No, no. See, I didn't want it to do that. I didn't think it would do that. It didn't do that to me before. Um, Here, I'm going to ask the same question in Google. And I want to make this point here because AI is pervasive. It's all over the place. And if you haven't noticed it, you should, you will now, you will never not see it again. But I'm going to ask it the same question. What are the top auction sites? Okay. Now, I'm going to ask it over here. Another question. What are the best auction firms? Notice I asked a question, and the only difference between the two was I said sites versus firms. And a lot in our mind, we don't really think the difference. I don't know, maybe we do, we ought to. But if you ask what the best auction firms are, you're going to get a different answer. You're going to get Christie, Sotheby's, Phillips, Heritage. You're going to get auction companies. When you say auction sites, you know, Christie's, Sotheby's, and all them, they have auction sites too. And they're better than eBay and Hipstamp and that. Um, but because we asked for sites, it's focusing on like the marketplace internets. It's focusing on the internet sites. And if I ask it a third way, what are the top stamp auction sites? Okay, then there we are. But now, is not the in this, I'm not trying to point out the answer to the question. I'm pointing out a couple things. It's really important how you ask the question, but the larger issue is what is going on with Google. Now, this is new, and I alerted everyone to it like 18 months ago. And this is a trend. It's an important trend for us all to understand with what's going on and how it's going to affect philately. It used to be if you said, what are the top auction sites? You didn't get this AI overview. You got this stuff right here. You got links to those sites, and it would give you what was there, and you made your own choice about which ones you wanted to follow. But Google is changing the way they operate, and they're no longer trying to be uh, a referral source. They're actually trying to keep you here. They want to answer the question and keep you on Google and that you hang out here. And they want you to depend on their answer for your question. They want to answer your question right there and there. And yes, that's a link, and so is that. Um, but just a quick point there.
So, Tom, how could you use AI for expertising or for writing up your exhibits?
Okay. We just had somebody, I think he might be on the post. I'm not going to share his email, but you use it just like I used it right here. So um, let me show you how you use AI to do something like that. Here's my notes for today's talk. See all this? It's just scratch notes, right? It's kind of my script for this call. I'm going to just cut and paste this. I'm going to copy it all, and I'm going to say, rewrite this. It's probably going to do a better job than what I've done for you here.
Mhm.
Let's see.
What I find cool too is with that little plus, you could upload a cover or something and it will
Yeah.
describe it. Yeah.
So I got an email, just a few days ago from someone who had has was obviously clearly from his email used ChatGPT a lot, and basically he talked about how he used ChatGPT to rewrite the content of his exhibit, and found that it made it a lot more concise. It reduced the volume of this text, and so. There it is. There's my talk. Uh, probably now, okay, tighten this into a spoken script, turn it into slides. I mean, oh my gosh, see, that's what you can do here. Um, so here's my concluding thoughts here. But I didn't really, I mean, I didn't know how long it would take to cover this stuff, and I tried to kind of go through it quickly. I did want to ask, okay, I still want to ask this question because I think this is important. What are the buzzwords in AI? I mean, we ought to know just some of the main terms. Okay, AI is artificial intelligence, reading, writing, recognize pictures. It doesn't think or feel, it copies patterns. Learning, so lo lots of great examples of machine learning. One of the great stamp exa if you're not using Google Lens, you need to go find out about it. We have a demo on it. We have a YouTube video on Google Lens at Stamp Auction Network that explains all how to use it. So if you go to Stamp Auction Network and down on the right, I have a section of white papers, censuses. I've talked about NFTs before, provenance and censuses, but there's a YouTube video we created called How to Use Google Lens. So Google Lens is an example of a tool that uses machine language. So it has a huge database of images, and it's using machine learning to help people upload an image and have it compare it. And it is truly amazing. I've had like these bizarre revenue stamps from bizarre countries, and I take a picture of it and it identifies it immediately. So if you need a good stamp identification tool, Google Lens is it. And then it even gives you links to where it's been on sale at eBay or other places. The term you need to know is large language model. So that's what the ChatGPTs. So it just means it takes sources of raw language and creates a database tool that can search that um, and get a response from it and then put it into words that we can read. Um, it's very good at guessing the next word. That's how ChatGPT works.
So,
ChatGPT is an AI helper.
so
Okay.
Walter
Yes.
asked something interesting. How would you use AI for artwork in production of a first day covers? So like what's a first day
Okay.
cover coming up?
Let me see. Okay, let me ask it. How could I use AI in the development? You want it in the artistic production? I don't know. Again, this is how. So you really don't need to, it's helpful to know how to ask the question correctly.
Create a cache.
Okay, how could I use it in the creation? Yes, yes, thank you.
Yeah,
Uh,
there's a Colorado statehood stamp first day cover that Claude put in.
let's see what it says.
It should make a picture, right? We want a picture.
Says this is a perfect use case for AI, fits very natural with how caches are already created step by step. AI does not replace the cache designer. It acts as a research assistant, concept generator, sketching partner. You still decide. Step one, use AI to generate theme ideas. So you would ask it this question, give me 10 tasteful cache design themes for a Colorado statehood map. And then it says, okay, these are some ideas. State seal, statehood symbolism, mountains versus plains, mining railroads, centennial state. So that's how exactly this is correct. It expands your thinking without committing you to anything. ChatGPT really helps you think of the things that you didn't think of yourself. Um, Caches live or die on correctness. Asks things like what symbols would have been appropriate to represent Colorado in 1876? What imagery should I avoid? Ask AI to refine the story you're telling. Generate draft visual concepts. You can ask AI image tools to create black and white line art. and then you talk with it. You say make it simpler, more white space, final human
Okay,
refinement.
create that cache. Pick one of
Okay,
your things and let's see what it does for us.
okay. I'm just gonna give us your best shot. Now, ChatGPT is not the best artist tool. So we're not working in with it the best tool to this question. Um, let's see what it gave us though. I mean, these are existing ones, right? I mean, here's, you know, my experience is that ChatGPT does not do a good job at making logos, images, it's more about text. There's other tools that do much better.
Hmm.
So we shouldn't, you know, um, this is not its strength. But
What would
what
be a
it's,
good artist tool, do you think? Because I know
yeah,
I
yeah, good
use
question. Uh-huh, uh-huh. So now you're talking about an AI agent. Let's see if it calls it that. What would be a better artist AI agent tool to create caches? And we're asking ChatGPT, but let's see what it tells us. DALI. And it's going to tell us what it thinks are best. It used to be you'd ask this question in Google, right? And so, but the difference now is, let's see what Google says. Of course, they're starting to use a little AI. But notice, okay, this one didn't give us an AI generated response. Um, I said, what would be a better? Let's see, what would be a art? So it's giving us Artist IO. Oh, these are sponsored results. So Shutterstock and Artist IO. So let's see if it mentions either of those. DALI, Midjourney, Stable Diffusion. Okay, by the way, let me go ahead and update this so all those that want to be able to follow along in this themselves can do so. So I'm going to update the chat with the latest link.
Tom, I'm going to start bringing people over so they could talk directly to you.
Okay, sure, sure. But while you're doing that, let me just conclude and then I'll answer questions. So in the future, I think two main things that I think are important. I'm sure there's a whole nother list by everyone else, but I don't think Google is going to work as well as it used to for us anymore. It's moving away from organic search results to sponsored search, and it's moving towards keeping you at the site. So that's why we created Philately.live, which is essentially our own Google for philately. It has all the organizations, all the clubs, all the events, all the auction companies, every organization and resource from APS to a small stamp dealer can be at philately.live. It's an ecosystem map of our entire philately ecosystem. We're going to need to build those kind of resources in the future, so we can curate them and you can get like better responses. Um, the second main thing is I do think LLMs, large language modules, large language models are the future for philately. In just 2 years, like if I had asked any of these questions 2 years ago, we get really crazy answers. The quality of this philatelic responses in ChatGPT are freaking amazing at this point, and they will only get better. That's what I said 2 years ago. But they will never be reliable until we control the data that goes in them. So by that, I mean, we need to create our own AI agent for philately. And what that consists of is our own large language database where we train it with content. So we put in it all the auction results for the last 25 years. And we put in it a whole bunch of exhibits and we put in the books, we put in Brookman's, so that when it's answering questions, it's going against real philatelic literature that's out there. That's how we're going to get accurate responses. Now, the problem with large language models is that they're dealing with language. They're not dealing with discrete data points. So you have to create a hybrid model, and that's what we're doing with Coin Auction Network. It's not enough just to build a large language model. You have to, at the same time, in that same database, create a regular relational database that works together. So like if I put in the auction results for Stamp Auction Network, which are 1.2, it's like $3 billion worth of realizations. It's like 2.7 million records. If you put that in a large language model, it's not going to be able to give you what we can give you at Stamp Auction Network, which is like, okay, here's where this stamp sold for exactly over the last 20 years. Large language models don't do that. But if you had a large language model that interfaced with a discrete database, then you can get to start doing that things. So that's what I think is the future and direction of where Philately needs to be. We need a hybrid data model that uses large language models to access all of the philatelic research content that we've created over 200 years and has a component that can access discrete data as well. So that's my final talk. Glad to meet anyone that wants to talk and ask a question.
Um, that was very interesting. So it sounds like Philately has a lot of work to get itself together, to get its data organized, so to speak.
Surprisingly, it's not that hard. I mean, it sounds overwhelming, but the there's scraping tools to go get it.
Define scraping tools. We're not all,
Okay. So like you do what the bots do. So Google is a scraping tool. We've had the internet's been scraped since day one, and Google was created by scraping all the websites. And so a spider is a computer term for a bot, a robot that goes out and scrapes content. So it goes to the home page of your website and captures all that data, throws it in its database. Then with every link that's on your database, it follows all those and captures all that database. So that's what it's called scraping. And you've probably heard the term crawling. So spiders crawl your website. So spiders are bots. They go pull up a page, save the content, look at all the links, follow those. So that's why they're called spiders, because they follow all these links. And as they're doing that, they're capturing the data. That's how Google works. It's been doing that since 2001. That's how we have search tools like Google. So you can type in some crazy term and it's going to go find out where on the website that's stored. So we're doing a lot of that already, and it's not hard to write. It's actually easy to write. Like for instance, if we wanted to scrape all the content on all the philatelic websites that are out there and put it in a large language model, it actually would not be that hard to do. In fact, you can hire an Upwork consultant to write the code to do it. Or you could ask ChatGPT to write the code for you too. The harder thing is it would be to write the hybrid model where interacts with discrete databases. Those you would have to put together. But this is not new. Building relational databases is certainly not new technology. But okay, we got Joan, do you want to just call out the hands raised?
So I'm going to turn it over to Rob to orchestrate that
Okay.
as I bring people over. If I missed you, please raise your hand and I will bring you over.
All right, thanks, John. Edo-san has his hand up.
Yeah. Have you heard, have you gotten the opinion from either Scott's or Stanley Gibbons about the creation of a philatelic AI model? I would think that they might want to actually do it themselves if such a venture were being undertaken.
Um, well, it's ironic, but I do know the principal that bought Scott's from prior to their purchasing of them. Um, you know, I think I, I don't know how things will work out, but I do know that the principals over there at Scott's have an entire different vision of the future, and it is more collaborative and more. So I can't speak to that. That's not an answer I can make, but I'm optimistic that um, we're going to move into we're already in the 21st century. But that's what it's going to take. I mean, I think what people need to realize is that we can't operate in these little territories anymore. For the sake of our hobby, we need to all like get together on this question and store this information for the future collectors. And we got the tools to do it now. It's quite amazing.
All right, Tom. Frederick Lawrence, you have your hand up.
Tom, I have a follow-up to the discussion about expertization. So I am a member or subscriber to Stamp Auction Network, and it alerted me to something that I thought I might be interested in late last year that showed up in an auction in Hong Kong that I didn't know anything about. And the description sounded exciting, so I had my agent in London bid on it, and it went for an astronomical price, and I didn't get it. But I thought about writing it up in a column for a specialist journal for a society that I belong to, but it had some Chinese characters on it, some handwriting in Chinese. So I asked a China specialist, could he read it for me? And he did, but he came back to me and said, this is not a genuine Hong Kong cover. And if it were to be expertized by a Hong Kong and Chinese expert or specialist, it would come back with a negative certificate. Well, I'm sort of glad I didn't buy it, but it got me thinking about, aren't we to the point where soon we should be able to interrogate offerings in auction catalogs, particularly those online where there are images, to give us additional information that is not necessarily provided in the description from the auction company. The provider here did not indicate that they had any reason to believe that the cover was anything but completely genuine. Again, I don't have it and I haven't looked at it, but I didn't buy it, and perhaps I'm glad that I didn't. But are we to the point where the information that is available might be used to give bidders some additional information about images of stamps and covers that are offered in online auctions, not necessarily contained in the descriptions provided by the offerers?
Well, I got two answers to that question. As to expertization, that was like one of the things that it said right at the very beginning when we started this conversation. AI is not suited to be a expertization tool.
Yeah.
So, but this second part of your question is that's what we've been doing for the last. We've been doing exactly.
All right.
Can I?
All right, listen. You take care. Tell Kevin I said hello, and
Can someone mute
hopefully I'll
themselves?
get to see him next time.
Hopefully you will too. We could have came for all my brother.
Yeah.
Keep him in prayer.
All right,
Okay, if
will
someone's
do.
going to do that, you
Will
better
do.
give me some top stock
All right, you
tips.
too. Love you too.
Someone
Tell the
needs to
family I said
mute.
hello.
Someone needs to mute. Someone's
I'm trying to.
talking. Okay, so how I wanted to
Me or
answer
who?
Frederick's
Hold on, I'm trying to
question.
find out who's doing that.
Okay,
Sam. Oh no, I got him. I got him.
just mute everybody and
I'm
okay.
77. Yeah,
Um,
not by Sam's about 74, 75, somewhere around there.
I'm trying to figure out who's talking here.
Okay.
Right,
They
right.
probably turned off the
can mute
sound and they're
everyone.
talking.
Hold on.
One day I'll
Can't
be
hear
passing
us.
down to you.
Hold on, Tom. I'm going to mute all. Okay, unmute
I muted
yourself.
myself. All right. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay. So to your question about that, yes, and um, that's what we set out to do 5 years ago when we created why can't every stamp have provenance at Stamp Auction Network. So now we do image recognition and matching on every item that comes up for auction if it's over $100. And we've discovered a lot of very interesting things. If the cover's been offered before and we can match it, you can often see like there's a stamp coming up in an upcoming auction right then that's missing the upper corner of the stamp. But the AI tool that we used in the image patch was good enough to recognize that it's the same stamp. So you can see a history of that stamp. You can also see things like, okay, this stamp has been re-perfed from a previous offering. It's the same stamp up for sale. And this is all part of census and provenance, and that's using like AI tools, but they're machine language kind of tools. We're not using LLMs to do that. We're using, kind of
Okay, Tom. Machine language LLMs for all of us non-computer geeks.
yes. But anyway, yes, to that question, as our image database gets better and better, we'll be able to do that kind of stuff and recognize items if they've been previously offered somewhere. And I can do that right now. Um, I didn't go very far with it, but we were in the middle of doing a project where people could submit items that were stolen, and we'd use our image recognition to search for them on eBay, and that's all doable. If someone
Wow.
wants to,
That is so needed and so cool.
yeah, yeah. It's just kind of um, a byproduct of what we do with provenance and census at Stamp Auction Network.
All right. Thanks for that question, Frederick. Duncan Barber. You have to unmute yourself.
We'll unmute. Yeah. Uh, one of the interesting things I had used Gemini to look for a set of postal rates for Great Britain Registered Express covers. One of the sources it came up was an article I wrote, but it missed some of the rates that are in my rate table in the article. And
That's cool.
it's pretty dreadful on the period where the article is still in draft. And Stamp Auction Networks is incredibly hopeless because often these covers are in lots of
Yeah.
GB covers with high values, and they're not individually listed. And occasionally you get a picture. Occasionally you get 6 or 7 pictures, and half the covers are irrelevant. The Stamp Auction Network census is unusable for them.
Yeah, we can only deal with individual stamps or covers that sell for more than $100. That's a line we draw. But yeah.
Yeah, what?
But Google Lens is amazing for that kind of stuff too. I mean, it's good for identifying the stamp. I haven't really used it for covers yet, but it'd be interesting to see.
The other interesting observation was that the Northeastern TPO, which I've got to cancel from, apparently is a tree planting order. It's not a traveling post office.
Well, this email that I got from this. Let's take the next question. I'm going to look up this part of what he said because I'm going to pull it up and then I'll sort of summarize what he said. But
Then, of course,
let's move to the next question.
the other point is whether people can submit their site rather than have it scraped, because often the scraping by multiple agents meant that the website was virtually unusable.
How do you mean? What are you saying by that? You mean because it's scraping it, it's shutting it down? What do you
Because
mean?
so many people are scraping it, they put on you need to verify that you're human, so it can
Right,
no longer be scraped.
right.
So how do they then submit it to reputable philatelic sites?
Yeah, well, I just was dealing with that issue because we have a lot of bots messing up our site. But it's actually very easy, and you just ask Chat. That was actually one of the questions I asked ChatGPT the other day, yesterday, and it gave me the robots.txt file to allow like Bing and Google, but don't allow all the malicious bots. So yeah, um, I just asked that, yes, 2 days ago and put the code on my website. So that's a very solvable problem. And you just need your um, web designers have known about the robots text file for 20 years now. And
Uh,
it's a very
then
simple
of
file.
course, then of course, there's another problem with various AI things. All the facial recognition problems before the light in my study burnt out, which I need to replace. Uh, I have yet to be successful in being identified as a human on facial recognition.
Yeah, yeah.
All right,
Have you gone through customs lately? Have you gone traveled internationally lately? It's pretty amazing.
Uh, my my wife had a stroke, and I think my passport's expired. So,
Okay.
and
So let me tell you
Canada's
what this guy said, and then we'll go to the next question. Um, this person used his AI tool. He had three images. He had a cancellation that had only partial lettering and again unclear. So he's working with a postal history item, partial lettering, unclear. The bot took that information and suggested it could be three locations, right? Even with a partial postmark, it gave it three locations, and then it discounted two of them for very good reasons and declared the name of the post office and the dates of cancellation. So it came up with three possibilities, argued against two of them, suggested it was a third, and then gave it the information that the post office was active at that time. So I mean, I think that's kind of amazing.
That's me, David Biltek. I sent you that
There,
note.
David.
Sorry, I joined late. Yeah, I've used it a lot this week. I'm putting together an exhibit, and I've had some stamps and covers where the postmark is not very good, and I can only make out three or four letters. And so I scan it and submit it, and I've done that half a dozen times today, and it's really been helpful. It's done basically that same process, saying, well, it could be this, it could be that. And then I would chime in and say, I don't think it's that one because of this reason, takes that into consideration. And it's really been helpful. I've identified six stamps, the cancellation and the date that I wasn't able to before.
I mean, that's where it's come in 2 years. I mean, it wasn't able to even do anything like that even a year ago. So we're just seeing, we're starting to see that it's really starting to work. Only I
Yeah,
get
the other thing that I did is that in this exhibit is that I read up the exhibit, and it was way too long, as most exhibits are, have too much text. So I submitted it all and said, I need this cut down substantially. And I gave it some parameters, and it did it in 5 minutes. And it's a much better piece than I could have written, and summarized it. And I went through and made some changes to it because it didn't sound like me. And it's been very, very helpful.
right,
I've been using it a lot, not only in stamps, but in other things that I'm doing.
right. And that's how AI should be used. I mean, you don't say, write me a paper on such and such, or write me an exhibit on such and such. You take what you've come up with and you use it to be your editor.
Yeah.
All right.
But
Thanks for
write me a
sharing that,
brief.
David.
I'm sorry.
The legal brief that the lawyer almost got disbarred for.
Mark Kellner, you've had your hand up for a while.
Yes, thank you very much. And Tom, before we go too far, let me just thank you for whatever you've done technically with Stamp Auction Network. It's a great little service and has drained my bank account on more than one occasion.
Here. Nice.
And happily, I should say, happily. All right.
That's important.
I'm concerned a little bit about quality control with all the scraping and the thing because, and I wrote about this, and anyone who's interested, and if you're interested, Tom, I can send this to you. I wrote about this for the Philately Communicator, and all of 6 people maybe read it. But when I asked ChatGPT to punch up a philatelic related article that I wrote for my own blog, it invented quotes from Louis DeJoy, the Postmaster General at the time, and even from a book that it said was written by a professor at Eastern Connecticut State University. And the guy was a real professor, and Eastern Connecticut State University is a real university.
Yeah.
But the book didn't exist, the quote didn't exist. How are we going to guard against not just slop, but totally false things coming into the hobby?
That's how I concluded my talk.
Yeah.
The reason why that happens is because we're not controlling the data that's used by the large language model to produce the answers.
Okay.
So if you only put curated data in it, then you're only going to get, you're going to have a much better chance that it doesn't make stuff up. And I have to imagine if you're writing, I don't know this for sure, but I have to imagine that if you're writing the AI, the Philately AI tool that has its own database, and you're managing the calls to the LLMs, so a little bit of infrastructure, tech talk. The way these things work is you build a database and you build it in a certain way so that it's large language model searchable. But every time you do something, you don't, like if I were to write an AI agent, I don't write an AI. What I do is I make calls to establish AIs, and they sit and wait for text and your question. So when you're writing an AI agent, that basically what you're doing is you consume a large quantity of written data, and as you consume it, you pass it paragraph by paragraph or chunk by chunk to the AI API, and it returns it in a format that you can store it in your database. So, and then you do the same thing when you want to get data out of it. You pose your question, you ask the AI to form it into whatever it needs to interrogate your database, and then it gives the response, it restructures it for you, and it goes. So you do all this with API calls to these.
Right. So what you're saying is basically 6 months, a year from now, we're going to have to go to Stamp GPT and not
right. We want to create our own
GPT.
AI agent. Like, you got a CPA agent. You got venture capital is spending hundreds of billions of dollars writing every conceivable AI agent out there. You're going to have you're going to have the replacement for Expedia. There's going to be an AI agent for Expedia. There's going to be an AI agent for booking a vacation, for getting a car, for remodeling your house. They're all going to be out there. So yeah, we need one for stamps for Philately.
Well, that'll be great. Thanks very much for that. And again, thanks for your other work too.
Oh, so Tom's going to put together this AI agent.
Yeah. We got to we need an attitude that's a can-do, and we want to collaborate on it. But You know, the technology is the easy part. It's getting all the cats together.
Yeah. Thank you, Mark. Okay, Edith and Dale Egan.
Yes, I had a couple of comments, suggestions. Anyone getting involved with the AI needs to get involved in a course on verification. As several people have alluded here, um, they get responses back that uh, they can tell aren't valid. But if you're seriously going to get into AI, you need to get involved in learning the topic of verification of your AI responses. Tom mentioned, and rightly so, AI is presently based upon knowledge based. So that's literally what they are. There's an accumulation of knowledge, right, correct, or wrong. Uh, and as also alluded here, there are knowledge bases that are being developed, specialized. The number one of these is in the medical health and services, uh, a knowledge base that is strictly for medical, not global. And you also have to remember that AI is in the primitive stages. Let's say, like the Model A Ford, uh, it does not take into account techniques that can be used, such as optimal state estimation. So I just wanted to add those few comments.
Yeah, that's a main principle of AI. And I was trying to locate a Freakonomics three-part about a year and a half ago now. Freakonomics had a three-part series on AI. And, you know, the first one was on the pros, second one was on the cons. But basically what you took away with like using a using ChatGPT is there it comes down to three things: how you ask the question, looking at the results, and then verifying the results. And you got to learn how to do that, and learn how to recognize bad answers, and how and yeah, it's extremely important that you verify it. So yeah, you should run its responses up. If you don't already know the answer, then yeah.
So how would you
Definitely.
recommend verifying the answer? Like ask for the source and then go look at the source? Like how,
Yeah,
if
you
you
can do
don't
that.
know,
Let
you don't
me
know, you're asking and you're like, okay. And it sounds so authoritative. It says there's 100 cover. There's the rate to
Mhm.
Germany in 1950 was 10, and it sounds so good.
let me
And then
let me let me Joe, let me please respond to that. Verification is a specialized topic in AI, and it's nothing here that we can discuss in this forum now. Uh, there are specialized courses and techniques. I've been through some of them. There is a number of different techniques that you can use to verify nowadays. Uh,
Mhm.
but that's not a topic here. It's involved in detail, and it's like everything else in life. The truth lies in the details, and you need to get involved with the topic of verification. And there are courses. I know in our local area, they have courses in AI, and they go into the topic of verification.
Mhm.
Mhm.
so you recommend just taking a course on it to get a better overview before you started, including AI in your will or something.
Mhm.
I most definitely suggest that uh, I know at Stanford University, uh, some of their professors give courses to the public. I'd be very leery of someone from another realm, possibly an elementary school teacher. Nothing to go against them, but there are people who specialize deeply in AI, and as Tom mentioned, three basics. And there's people who dwell into this at a very low depth and can present summary information. So I most assuredly recommend that people identify an appropriate course and take them. I also mentioned, they're, like Tom mentioned a number of times, these are knowledge-based systems. So certainly, APRL is digitizing a lot of things, and all that should go into, become part of the knowledge-based system. But going beyond specialized agents, there are communities such as the medical community that is developing their own knowledge base. So it's not part of a global national knowledge base. It's a specialized knowledge base. Mm-hmm. And the other thing to remember also, like I mentioned, that AI now is very primitive, very, very primitive. It doesn't take into account such things as optimal state estimation models. So as AI progresses, you're going to see orders of magnitude improvements of capability. Right now, it is limited to knowledge base, which is a big limitation.
All right. Thank you, Dale. Don Smythe, you've been waiting for a little while.
So did you mention me? Can you hear it now?
Don Smythe?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Go ahead, Don.
Yeah, I just wanted to give you a positive note. I collected some envelopes that got my curiosity up. Like, why do I have a letter from the First Lord of the Admiralty sent in 1940s to a lieutenant colonel in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada, with the British Imperial Comrades Association? I did a bunch of research on my own, got some answers, got some dead ends, took a quickie little course over a couple of weeks with a seniors association on AI. And you now have an 80-year-old that's a firm believer in the possibilities of what's to come. I can sympathize altogether with the importance of prompts, of what you asked. Mm-hmm. But this, just using Gemini, mm-hmm. I got back in about 7 minutes doing a deep dive, 29 referenced reports, 3 reports on probability for the answers. Some of the answers I already knew, so I knew if the thing was on or not. And it's a fantastic tool that's developing. I can't emphasize enough the asking the questions and continue asking the questions. I was kind of laughing when people were asking about, do you have the free program or the unfree program, and how do you tell? I got little notes that sort of said, go away, you've used it all up, send us money. So I just ignore it for a while and then I go back to it. Mm-hmm. But it's changed me as a collector from the stamp side of it to more of the history side, because that database is there. Okay. So the 29 references in the report that I got back, which is like 30 pages long compared to my 5 pages of notes that took me months to get. is because of changing the prompts. I kept changing the prompts, and it would come back with, all right, was this written by, what I gave it was I gave it the date of the letter. It was from the First Lord of the Admiralty, the date, all that kind of stuff. And it came back saying, okay. And what my question was, and what I was trying to find out was, what was the letter? Okay, why is the First Lord of the Admiralty sending a letter on this date? And Vancouver's my old homeland. And during that time, that's when British children were first being shipped over to here. That's when the first ship was sunk carrying people. This was the year that the St. Rock was sent up to go through Northwest Passage. It went on and on and on. And I'm a history buff, so I wanted to find out some of this sort of stuff. And it came back with saying, well, if it was, they wanted the exact date. Okay, because this is when Churchill took over. If it was him, my guess would be blah, blah, blah. And if it was his predecessor, it would be this other one. And man, did it hit the nail on the head. That's all I wanted to say about it. Great tools. And I'm really looking forward to it's advancing because I now have 15 projects that I'm looking into because I have a prayer of actually coming up with an answer. And it just keep asking the questions and until it says you've used up all your freebies, go away for a while and then come back again.
Things really are changing. I get a lot more, I'm amazed at what it gave me and I'm surprised at how accurate it was versus the old, one of my first things that I gave, I posted 2 years ago, some experiences with ChatGPT, and I remember the one where I asked about the 15-cent Lincoln, the black 15-cent Lincoln stamp, and the ChatGPT came back saying, "Oh, this was the first African American to appear on a stamp." So the hallucinations have died down considerably. In fact, I'd be hard pressed to think of the last time I actually saw something I thought was actually made up.
I got that with German rates.
Yeah, you got the made up German rates just recently. Yeah.
Yes, I was told how brilliant I was and how observing the facts, 100 covers in front of me, was, why philately exists and why it's so enjoyable.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Anyway, Tom, there was one question early on that was a Stamp Auction Network question, but I think it's fair to ask. Someone asked about your app, the Stamp Auction Network app. Is that still?
So we had a provenance app. So when you app has a specific term, it's written for a phone. We have Stamp Auction Network, which I wouldn't call that an app. That's a desktop interface to all the auctions of the world. We have a mobile version of Stamp Auction Network, which is really more of a phone responsive. It's not a there's getting into terminology here, but a native app is written for a phone, whereas the version of Stamp Auction Network for the phone is really a web version of Stamp Auction Network that is responsive to the size of a telephone.
Okay. So this person thinks your app went away because you used a responsive website. So
No,
I
still
think
have.
I get it.
If he's talking about the phone responsive version of Stamp Auction Network, that's still there. And as a matter of fact, if you're on your phone and it doesn't look right, there's a little mobile button at the top left. You just press that, and then it'll switch you into the responsive version of Stamp Auction Network.
We'll let Lloyd know that because, I guess if you don't know that little secret sauce, you're
the mobile app is used a lot. I mean, people use it at auction, the bid, and
there's a lot of butt bids that we get. Anyway.
Earlier there was a question in the queue here from David Klauber. He says, since AI has already captured the world's available searchable knowledge, what do you believe is the future for AI agents for searching philatelic library information?
Well, yeah, I mean it's got to be it's got to you got to scan the stuff, make a PDF, and then
Yeah.
load it into the database. It's a bit
Yeah.
of a chore, bit of a work, but a lot of stuff is already out there in PDF form. Brookman's, for instance, is. And
Mm.
as an experiment, the problem is you got books that are written in the 20s and they're typewritten on a piece of paper, and then so and they got lots of spaces in between words. I mean, stuff like that. It, there's not as accurate. But one of my first AI-based projects was Robert Siegel. I mean, they had if you look at Power Search, which we wrote, um, we also were the ones responsible for scanning all their old catalogs and scanning all their slideshows, their slide projector slides, and building their rarities database um, at Power Search. But there's challenges to taking printed documents, scanning them, changing the text into words, and But I think probably right there, I have to imagine that AI tools are really good at taking a PDF and fixing all the spelling errors before you dump it in your large language model database. But I don't exactly know how, they did, how they created ChatGPT version 1. I mean, they said they spent 2 years like taking all, Encyclopedia Britannica and everything else in the world and loading it in their database.
All right. Will Castillo.
Thank you, Rob. Thank you, Tom. Yeah, it's actually very in line with what Tom just said. I I've been hearing that probably we're gonna eventually have something like a stamp.chatgpt or whatever, uh, in agentic or agents, AI agents. I think that you know in that phase we're already very late to the party because all of these tools are as good as the corpus of data that they have been trained on, and tools like ChatGPT and others, I don't know, Claude and Gemini, they have been trained on general purpose, a corpus of data that is a general purpose one, not a
Yeah.
specific one. I think it was Dale that mentioned that there is one specific corpus of data related to the health knowledge base. There is another for law. I do believe that until we have one specific for philately, we are never going to have a good enough tool for, let's say, professional philatelists, because the data that they will be, the answers that they will be providing to us are going to be based on a general purpose knowledge on philately, never philately specific or
Hmm.
domain specific knowledge. And in
Hmm.
that note, I do believe that actors like Stamp Option Network, probably the eBay Market Index, even Peter Smuter's philatelic library, they're going to play a very important role in creating this corpus of data. And as Tom said, the technology is there, but we also need to create this data and have the resources to process it. It's getting cheaper and cheaper, but we need to get there. I don't see a future when a general purpose tool is going to give us professional answers to
Hmm.
our or expert rather expert like answers to our philatelic questions or inquiries or something like that. Yeah, wanted to mention
Yeah, I
that.
agree 100%, and that's my concluding conversation. And it actually is not as expensive. So the challenges to do that are not technological and they're not cost. They're just like, will we share our information? That's the question. Has nothing to do with how much it costs. And, one of the problems is that the stamp world is not big enough to attract like capital investment in it. We're $400 million. We don't meet the $1 billion of total available market to get even software companies to like make a risk and write something in the hopes that they can sell it. So this has to be something that we all agree is important, and we collaborate, and we find a way to make it happen. But it's not that hard. The hard thing is getting people to agree that we should do it, and to talk about territories and who's going to do it, and you know.
All right. Dale, did you have another comment?
Well, yes, I'd like to comment that Will certainly has a lot of insight. At the basic level I certainly agree with him. Another thought, on verification, there's two aspects of verification. Nowadays, we're limited by the tools that we have, and we can use these tools for verification. A point of specialized knowledge bases is that it's a very difficult problem, but configuration management of these knowledge bases. Large non-AI based databases do incorporate configuration management to ensure the appropriateness of all data in it. So it's just some general comments.
Need to get you on that committee, Dale. The committee
I'm on the committee about trying to understand better a number of surgeries I have to get into. At my age, I got out of the volunteer game quite a bit ago. Sorry.
All right. Well, someone will have to pick your brain in if you're not on the committee.
Okay. Do we have any more? Tom, that was a fantastic presentation. I think this is just the tip of the iceberg. You could go so many different levels with this. It opens so many doors, and I really, really thank you. And I thank you for all the work that you did with Stamp Auction Network, because there's so much there that's free, right? And it's just great. And there's, I do think that your subscription is underpriced because it's really, really valuable. Yeah. So I love the census, which it's like, where could I get that data?
Yeah.
So,
well, John, I am toying with the idea of doing a monthly AI meetup. So you might see that coming. And if, people enjoyed this time, would you want to do you think people would want to get together for 90 minutes once a month? Would that be,
well, we could send it out there. When I do the end, I'll ask people if they'd like to get together to do workshops, because a lot of it is understanding like what tools are out there. Philatelists are slow to adapt to technology. So having lists of like what tools are out there, what courses I could take to learn about this, I think would be very valuable, and taking it at a lower level, not a programming level.
Yeah. Well, I will post this session at philately.live and make a link to it in our next email that goes out. So hope your group gets some positive feedback and more people are interested in joining. This was a big call. So
Tom, we are free and we don't have membership. So we're the conduit to different areas. We don't want to take away from brick and mortar. So we just like to offer topics that are useful for people, and then they go to the direction that they'd like to go. We don't, as Rob and I would say, if you had $50 in your wallet, we don't want you to choose what web or what group you're going to go to. We want to just provide the information. And that's Keith Klugman was the one who really hammered home on that. Keith was the natal collector. He worked for Doctors Without Borders, the Gates Foundation. He's like, no, knowledge is free. So that's
I
what
know
we're
I'm
doing.
going to look into adult ed later tonight.
Yeah. And I think this is great. Any other questions, or can we let Tom go to sleep? Actually, he won't go to sleep. He's going to worry about what's going on tomorrow. But
No, Joan, I'll hang on with you for a little bit if you wanted to wrap up anything with me or Rob.
yeah, no, I think what I'll do is I'll send you all the questions that we didn't answer, because there were a lot of them, mostly around using ChatGPT to answer some of their questions. But I'll send those to you just in case you're interested.
Okay.
And we'll take it from there. Very, very informative. I mean, especially
I really only got to half of my points, so there could be part two of it.
Jennifer, chime in. Jennifer is great, by the way. She does a lot with the Internet Philately Group, the International Philately Group in New York. So Jennifer, unmute and.
Tom, you really need to come and meet with us at International Stamp Club of New York at our Zooms, because you're talking about the need for a philately specific LLM. Yes. And Tara, who's the person who's in charge of doing our videos, and I know you like our videos, was using AI to create blog posts based on the closed caption transcript of our videos. But then when AI came along, then people in our club, who a lot of them are presenters who present these videos, were nervous about these text transcripts of our videos getting submitted to or parsed by AI. So then Tara stopped doing that. And that kind of sort of had a negative effect, because it was somewhat lowering the traffic to our website, which our website isn't the best to begin with. But anyway, it's very good for what?
It's good.
But anyway, if you came and met with us, maybe you could do something to get these people to trust more in because it's like, I don't know, they're not enthusiastic about submitting their data to the AI, which is like controlled by these big tech titans, but maybe they would trust in a philatelic specific LLM.
Yeah.
So we need you to come to our Zoom, because I invited you before, but I don't know if they ever got back to you. Did Alan ever get back to you? Because
I can't say, but yeah, I'd love to come to your, keep bugging me. I'm going to the Charlotte group next month. But
we're virtual, so.
Yeah, no, I'd love to come to your virtual. Sure.
So Jennifer, what we'll do is we'll hook you guys all up offline, and we'll try to get it to happen.
Okay.
Send them the link to this conversation and then ask them if they want me to do that there with your group. I'd be glad to.
No.
Yeah.
So
okay.
Thank you very, very much. And Jennifer, thank you for all you're doing with that group and and everything. That is just fantastic.
Yeah, ChatGPT did my QR codes for the flyer, so I didn't have to do them myself.
Yeah, so Jennifer, no one's I put you as the stamp club of the featured stamp club on our Stamp Auction Network newsletter. And when I do something like that, I always think, well, someone's going to send me an email saying like, how do I make my club be the featured stamp club of the week? And no one's asked me that. So you've got the spot.
I don't know, so I guess
you off. Just waiting for someone to say, can I be that?
Oh,
people are very, I don't know if clubs think about and possibilities.
Now, you know what might be cool is portals to the club through each, like you walk in and it's like a virtual, you could go to this club, that club. Like I love Stampex, the
Stampex does that, yeah.
PTSs. That PTSs thing where you have a little avatar, and you get around to each of those virtual booths. So anyway, you could tell it's late and I'm getting a little delusional.
Stay out of the abattoir.
The abattoir, yeah. Anyway. Well, thank you very, very much. And this will be on YouTube and it will be on our site. And
okay,
thank you. Always a pleasure. Oh,
okay, yeah.
Great.
Enjoyed it, Joan. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Good night, everybody.
Bye.
Good night.